I'm Nate German.
And I'm Ashley Watkins.
Since the beginning of standardized testing, students have strained and struggled under the pressures of final exams. We are arguing that students who have an A in an AP class with a teacher recommendation to be allowed to skip first semester exams. Let's see. There's several other schools in our area who are already doing this, including Scott County High School and George Rogers Clark High School, both of which operate under these presets with an emphasis on teacher references.
So many AP teachers were worried that if they didn't have an exam final at the end of first semester, their students wouldn't be prepared for the final exam at the end of the year. But we're not proposing the total exemption of exams, but rather the student can skip the exam first semester if they have an A in it. And there are also, if you don't want to let your students skip the final, you can offer other ways for the students to learn and prepare for the final, which Josiah will mention.
So the purpose of final exams is to review and go over what students have learned that semester so that they'll remember it for the next semester. And but there are many other ways that teachers can help students review for the final exam. I mean, like the AP exam. They can review by practicing AP questions, or they can do a project, a paper, or answer, like just going over questions.
Questions?
So in the system, if I don't have a final at a semester, and my grade is whatever I have at that point. So right now you have to go back to a 12% final. So you're saying my grade basically wouldn't change if I earned a 95 and I was exempt. That's my final grade.
Mm-hmm. It would be on the same system with seniors who can skip the classes they have an A in.
Right. That just goes in as exempt. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned the teacher recommendation. Can you explain a bit more about that to me? Like, so if someone has an A and the teacher doesn't recommend that they get to skip the final, they still have to take it?
This is to largely deal with classes that aren't exceedingly strenuous, because there are some classes, I don't know all of them because I haven't been here long enough to learn what those classes are, but I know that there are some, and so for those kind of classes that are just easy, it's kind of to keep people from just kind of taking a class to not have to do any work, kind of that kind of idea.
So why did you choose just the AP versus?
We chose just AP because AP is usually on a higher level than that, so if you do have an A that's like above an A in a regular class, and since AP is typically college level, especially at LCA, you're in high school and you have an A in a college level class, like that's excellent. So.
And you've already spent a lot of time. Like if you have an A, then that justifies that you spent a lot of time studying and everything like that. So. I mean, it kind of seems like deserving because you've already put enough time into it.
I'm going to ask you something that to bounce off of what Miss Groves was talking about. So, Ashley, Nate, you're both in my English, right? And so let's say you both have an A, but I feel like Nate, yep, I'm going to exempt you from the final, but Ashley, nope, I'm not going to exempt you. Do you foresee any problems with that?
Potentially students could think that they have favoritism towards them, but I think our teachers aren't a high enough merit that that wouldn't be the case.
I would agree with that as well.
I could see some angry parents out of that. Just from, prior experience with the teacher.
Well, I mean, parents also get angry if their student doesn't have an A.
That's true.
So right now, if you're an underclassman, second semester, you only get to skip one, right? Isn't that the way it works? Isn't that right? Okay. So would you just be changing that, or you would just kind of apply this on top of that to where now you're including all AP classes?
Well, AP you don't take typically, this is right, you don't take a second semester final anyway. Your AP exam is your final.
Back to the first semester. I got it. if you're taking the test, not everybody taking the test.
Yeah.
You know, that. Do you foresee any potential problems then within the system where it's like, you know, somebody says, well, look, U.S. history, you know, that's a tough class too. Why shouldn't I be exempt if I have an A in U.S. history? Is it just because I didn't take A push, and I haven't, and somebody else has an A there? How would you counter that argument for students that are, everyone should be on this system?
I think that at that time, instead of taking a test, it'll be easy, they could use that time to study for the AP exam next
So
semester.
that would be
because-
your counter to them. You say, listen, we're using it for test preparation.
Because AP exam is really a lot of information, more information than usually any final or anything like that. So.
Also, I'm assuming they'll take the speech class, so they should have the opportunity to argue that.
On their own merit.
You guys are already under tremendous pressure, both externally and internally, for grades. Do you see this creating even more so internal pressure because you obviously want to be exempt from the final? You see that putting more pressure on you?
You can answer that.
I don't really think so because LCA students usually are already like under the pressure of getting an A, whether they would take it or not. So I don't think that would add any more pressure to them.
I think if anything, it adds more motivation or kind of like a goal and that you're rewarded for it.
Do you know, and I honestly don't know, but since you were focusing on AP classes, does AP have any kind of requirement that says you have to do a final exam, or there has to be some kind of cumulative something?
I know it's the requirement currently for LCA, but I don't know if it's a national thing. Because I remember first semester, Ms. Watson wanted us to have a project as opposed to a final, but it was turned down by the medical department. So.
Yeah. For AP Computer Science, the week before final exams, we did a project that took about a week and a half, but it kind of didn't count as a final. It was just more of maybe it was worth two tests, but we didn't really have a final.
You mentioned some other schools that already do this. Do they just focus on the AP, or is it across the board?
I'm rather certain they put it to all classes. I'm not entirely sure though.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either because the people I asked didn't really give a specific answer, but one of them, I believe it was George Rogers Clark, was it had to be an AP class.
Did you talk to any of the teachers who teach AP here? What were their thoughts on it?
Mr. Small said he was okay with it as long as.
Mr. Small?
I mean,
As long as what?
as long as they administered kind of like a practice kind of harder tests.
Like the stuff that Josiah was mentioning earlier, like the having like multiple quizzes, projects, papers, stuff like that, that would review the AP style questions as opposed to a final. Because I remember, from personal experience, I took a Mr. Small exam and he did not weigh it on the AP scale, and I lost my A, so first semester. So, MERS also mentioned that if he was kind of against it, and he said, though he did agree that if teachers did insist on having a final first semester, that it should be weighed on an AP style scale.
Yeah, it was mainly because he thought that was a good way to review for